All right, chat. Very good evening. I hope we are all doing well today. Welcome to the stream. So today, welcome. We're going to be flying a brand new aircraft, Microsoft Flight Simulator, just released on yesterday. In fact, this is going to be the Pilot's Dash-7 for Microsoft Flight Simulator. The little brother of the Dash-8, I suppose. Not really many of them in service currently in the world, but yeah, quite a unique aircraft for a quad-engine turboprop, which is well known for its short takeoff and landing capabilities. So it should be quite a bit of fun today. I think we are going to be taking on a bit of a challenging route. This is based on a real-world route that, now, I'm not sure if I'm going to get the pronunciation right, Tyrolean or Tyrolean Airways used to fly. They actually used to fly this both between Innsbruck and Courchevel, and probably similar to what we're doing today is they used to fly from Paris Orly to Courchevel as well. Both routes, you know, they made multiple stops on the way, and I'm not sure if they actually stopped at Chambery, which is going to be our departure airport, but nevertheless, that's what we're going to be doing for today. It should make for an absolutely spectacular flight out of Chambery over to Courchevel. If you're unaware of Courchevel as an airport, I believe they refer to them actually as an altiport. And yeah, it's a very, very extreme airport. Very high elevation, about 6,300 feet above sea level. And it has quite an extreme profile to the runway. Very, very steep upslope. There's no go-arounds if you mess it up. There's, yeah... It's a very extreme airport, very short runway, and surrounded by high terrain. So, yeah, it should be pretty exciting today. As I said, this is a real-world route, or a roughly based on a real-world route that used to be flown. Obviously, not flown anymore by the Dash-7, as Tyrolean are not operating them anymore. I don't even know if they're still an airline. I think they may have got bought out by Austrian. But no longer operated on this route, but nevertheless, pretty exciting route. I imagine the skill of the pilots and the experience as a passenger was absolutely sublime back in the day. I think it was the mid-90s when they used to do this. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. Probably it's a very short leg, but I don't know whether we're going to do the return or not. We may do. It could be quite cool. I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever actually taken off from Courchevel in the sim. I've landed there quite a few times, but never taken off. And obviously with the extreme downslope, it could be quite a cool place to take off from. So we might do the return leg. We'll see how this first leg goes. As I said, this is going to be the Pilot's Dash-7. Brand new aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I have already flown it a couple of times already. So I'm somewhat... acclimatized with the aircraft, although it is still very new to me. So I'm just going to be basically following the checklists. Now, I don't believe the version I got supplied to, pilots actually sent it out to me to stream and share with you guys. The version I received didn't actually come with a manual at all. So I've just been kind of having to work it out on my own. There's no in-sim checklist either. Now, I did receive this version before it released yesterday, so it may be that they've changed it since then, and do know they are intending to include a manual, but as it stands at the moment, I don't have one. I've just basically pulled off an FCOM or some kind of aircraft operating manual that I found through Google, and it does get you there, so that works absolutely fine for the time being. But that being said, it does mean that some of the power setting, fuel performance calculations and stuff like that, I'm just a little bit cloudy on. I'm not entirely sure exactly what they are, so I'm sort of eyeballing it a little bit for those, but got the checklist, so we know we can sort of set it up correctly at the very least, and get on our way. The simulation level here that pilots have done, it's not super in depth from what I've seen so far. It's not quite JustFlight levels. They're using some of the default systems, I think. Although SimWorks Studios, who produced some fantastic aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator so far, like the Kodiak, were involved in this project. I'm not sure how much their involvement was with the Dash-7, but they were involved. I think they did some of the modeling and flight dynamics and things like that, and some of the systems as well. Now, again, I don't know if they, worked on it throughout, or whether they just did a certain amount of the work and then pass it over to pilots to finish off. So yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on the aircraft as we go along, and once we get to Courchevel. But yeah, don't be expecting JustFlight levels of depth. It's definitely below that, I think. Happy to be proved wrong, but that's what I'm sort of getting the impression of so far. And I think it's more comparable to I don't know, actually. I don't have that many aircraft that are below that level, I suppose. I would probably say it's more in depth in terms of the systems, etc., than the Carrado aircraft, for example. But not quite JustFlight levels, I would say. That's probably the best comparison I can give you so far. I mean, I suppose with it being a turboprop commercial aircraft, you could probably compare it to the ATR. I would say it's definitely... I mean, the ATR is much more complicated aircraft, I would imagine, to make from a development standpoint. So I would say it's probably a step down from that. And I didn't fly the Twin Otter, which I appreciate is also a turboprop stall aircraft. I didn't fly that, so I can't really say how much it compares to that. But yeah, you guys will see as we go along here. So yeah, that's today. That's the plan today. I hope you guys enjoy it. Anyway, I hope it gives you some insight on what to expect from this product. It is actually out now on the pilot's website, and it comes in at just under €20, I believe, which is a pretty reasonable price, I think, for what we've got here. But like I say, I'll give you some more of my thoughts as we go along here. So we are on VATSIM if you do want to join along. I'm not expecting any controllers, but we are on VATSIM if you want to join the flight. Let's just see here. Hang on a minute. Just get my VAT spy up and just make sure we're not missing any controllers. Right, so who have we got in the chat? We've got Airdog. Good day. Welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Good to see the commentators here. Welcome indeed. Roy, good evening. I'm doing very good. Yeah, thank you, Airdog. Thanks for asking. How are you? Roy says the airport for the rich and famous, like Aspen. Yes, indeed. Yeah. For rich skiers, I think. Dave, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Good evening. I don't need a manual. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, it's quite. I mean, it is a fairly old aircraft, so some of the stuff is in a bit of a, it's not necessarily in the place you expect it to be, but yeah, we'll see how we get on. It's Ben G. Welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. It's a quad otter. I think that's quite a good comparison. I think. Yeah, indeed. MPS, welcome. Good evening. Hope you're doing well. I am doing good. Thank you. Just finished Minneapolis to Palm Springs. 4.5 hour flight in the headwind. Very nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. I hope you enjoyed. I've not used the headwind yet. But yeah, maybe we'll use that soon. I've heard a lot of good things about it, as I always say. Brendan, welcome to the chat. Hope you are doing well. Right, guys. So let's get rolling with this, shall we? So first of all, let's just have a quick look at the aircraft itself, seeing as though this is new to the sim. We're currently here on the ground at Chambery, just below Mont Blanc, I believe is the location of this airport. Mont Blanc somewhere. I couldn't tell you which one it is, but it is somewhere around here. This is the France VFR scenery for Chambery, which is quite decent, actually. It is fairly cheap scenery, and I think the quality you get for this scenery is fantastic. This is also a great airport to fly into if you like A320 ops and things like that. yeah, it is a really, really cool one to fly into. It's got a 4.5 degree glide slope, which is always quite challenging. So yeah, great little airport to fly into. The scenery is okay. I mean, it's for the price. I think it's not the best in the world, but it has some nice detail, and it's not expensive for as far as scenery goes. So I am perfectly happy with this scenery. But we're not going to talk about the scenery too much here today. We're going to be talking about this guy. So this is the Pilot's Dash-7. As you can see, the model is fairly good, I think. It does look pretty clean for the most part. This GPU is not part of the add-on, by the way. That's a GSX GPU. And yeah, as you can see, it's parked a little bit funny because it's not really got a native profile yet in GSX. I did customize it a bit, but yeah, yeah, GSX can be strange sometimes with the GPU, I find. I put the GPU input to be like here on this panel, and yeah, it still clips in, but nevertheless, yeah, the model looks pretty nice. There's some decent detail on it, although I did discover when I was setting up the GSX profile, there are some details missing from the fuselage, which are there on the real aircraft. But yeah, there is some good detail there. You can definitely see that SimWorks Studios have been involved. But that being said, I don't think it's quite to the level of the SimWorks Studios stuff that they've released first party. But as you can see, it is pretty nice, the model and the texturing. It looks very clean, though, for such an old aircraft, which some may like, some may not like. I do think it looks a little bit out of place on this aircraft, but that's my own personal opinion. But yeah, the modeling and texturing is generally pretty good. Landing gear also looking fairly decent. The tires look a bit plasticky, but generally looking pretty good. Yeah, so that's the model. It's got, you know, as we've come to expect from all Microsoft Flight Simulator add-ons, you know, we've got nice PBR and reflections and things like that on the fuselage. This detail is also quite nice here. Some quite small details there, and the light on the tail there. The skid as well, tail skid also looking, you know, pretty nicely modelled, and yeah, it's fairly decent model. I think it's quite nice, I would say, quite pleasing model. Definitely not quite as good as some that we've seen, but definitely worth a second look. It's not bad at all. Another few things I'll say is there's no sort of ground services or chocks or anything like that, really. In terms of, you know, interactions with the ground with this aircraft, all you've really got is this back door that opens. So no sort of chocks or, you know, GPUs or any of that kind of stuff that we get from, you know, some of the add-ons in the sim. That's quite a nice shot, isn't it, really? So that's that. The texturing, like I said, is pretty good, although there's this sort of I guess it's like, you know, it's a build-up of dirt and carbon and things from the exhaust of the engines, which I think is quite characteristic for this aircraft. But it does look a bit funky to me, to my eyes. that may be realistically done, but I don't know, it looks a little bit off to me. But yeah, the detailing on the wing is generally quite nice on the model and things like that. You've got little vortex generators and things like that, so quite nice. Right, shall we get started then? I think now that we've had a look around the outside, we'll have a look inside, I think. Right, so let's jump on in. I'm going to turn the music down so we can get a bit of idea of the sounds as well. So as I said, you've got this door here which does open and close. You just need to sort of come back into the cabin here and click it, which is quite nifty. We've got quite a nicely modelled cabin. I believe these lights do work as well, like the emergency exit lights and the no smoking and seatbelt signs. They all, you know, sync up with what's going on in the cockpit, which is also quite nice indeed. Yeah, cabin is pretty nicely done, I would say. It is very, very shiny in appearance, but yeah, it's pretty nice, I think. Really nice detail, and yeah, very, very good, I think. This door opens and closes as well. It doesn't sound like there's any kind of sound to it, similar to back here. There's no real sound when you click on this. But again, I don't know if that's something they'll improve for the future. And then jumping in to the flight deck. Yeah, looks pretty good in here, I think. Pretty decent. Pretty nice. Right, let's jump in our seat then. There is a little bit of a sort of a flickering thing going on with these screens at certain zoom levels. But I'm sure that's something they'll be able to fix. Right, okay, so shall we get cracking then with the flight, and we can check out what there is to see. So I'm going to skip some of the checks, but we'll run through the pre-flight originating checklist initially. So master battery AC DC. I'll have to see if I can remember the keybinds here. So master battery. What's going on here? Oh, is that the GSX window doing that? It is. Okay, there we go. Right, so master battery. Pretty nice sound there. AC and DC. So I assume on the checklist that is referring to the DC battery here, and then I don't think there was actually an AC one. These are for the AC generators and DC generators, which won't be online yet because we have not got the engines powered up. So we're going to leave those off for now. We'll go ahead and flick the external power on, the DC external power as well, on for now. I couldn't see anywhere in the checklist regarding AC external power. I'm not sure if this is commonly used. I know in the ATR they have both DC and AC external, but I don't think the AC external is quite often used on the ATR. So let's just assume the same applies here. So on battery power and external power, left and right batteries are on. Voltages, you can check them. Sorry, this is a load meter. You can check the voltages on the DC circuit here, and then the battery temperature up here as well. Now, as you can see, there's not too much going on regarding movement of the needles here. They all seem to be on the same value, but again, I'm not an expert with this aircraft, so I may be looking at the wrong things. But as you can see, we've got a minus load here on the DC system, which would make sense, although we are on external power, so you would have thought that would at least go to 0. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to get too hung up in the small details for this. We're just going to sort of crack on and see if we can see how this thing flies. So bus tie is off. Actually, by default, I think it's open. Oh no, actually you can only go, looks like, open or close. See, that's off there. Yeah, so you can, seems like you can only go open or close there. So we'll leave that in close, I guess. DC generators are off. Flight data recorder ELT CVR. So we can come up to, keybinds, sorry. There we go. ELT can go to auto, and the flight data recorder is in normal. I couldn't find for the life of me the CVR test. I couldn't find that anywhere. I looked around. I may have missed it, but I could not find that. I thought it might be maybe down here or something, or over here, but I could not find the CVR anywhere. So I'm not sure if that's modeled or not, or if it's even, well, yeah, I mean, surely there would be one, but carrying on. Panel lighting as required, so we can actually do that with these down here. The lighting in here is actually pretty decent, so we'll turn some of the lighting up a little bit. I think there's some more switches here as well. That one seems to spin all the way on the first scroll, but we'll go ahead and that one does the same as well. And then we'll just do that for now. Good. Fuel T handles, pulled, check, push in, normal. That's these guys. They're all fine as they are. Fire smoke warning. We're going to assume that's tested. I don't think all of the tests are model, but there are some tests we can do. This one doesn't seem to actually trigger any annunciations. Windshield wiper heat off. It is off. Ice cont, pitot and static heat should be off. Now this one only seems to go between slow and fast, although I don't know if this slow position is actually off or not. But the pitot heat's off, and we'll just assume the icing is off as well. So that's fine. Battery temperature, we'll assume that's been tested. I think this button does actually click, but yes, it does actually look like it is doing a test there as well. You can see the needles coming up. And interestingly enough, the batteries do seem to be sitting at a rather high temperature round about now. So I'm not sure what's going on there regarding the simulation side of things. Right, next up, we've got anti-collision position lights off and as required. So we'll get the position lights on. They're going to be our nav lights. Anti-collision light can be off for now. Ignition 5 normal, it states on the checklist. So we've got the ignition 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in normal. So that is checked. Fuel quantity. Now, the way to load this aircraft is through here in this one, as far as I can see. So we'll just make sure. I think we'll go for 50% fuel. That's probably going to be enough for us. I don't want to overload this aircraft, though, because we are landing on a very, very short runway. So nevertheless, we'll go for about 50% load as well in the back. Not entirely sure what these numbers are pertaining to, whether that's the amount of max pounds potentially that you can put in there, or kilograms. But we'll go for a 50% load here for this one. So fuel quantity is tested, verified. You can see the fuel quantity needles have gone up there as well. I think you can do a test here as well. That does work. Lovely stuff. Good. Okay, so aux pump fuel transfer off and closed, which this aux pump. Oh, interesting. These two switches look like they're in the on position, but these ones are in a slightly different position when they're off, but when we do that, they come on. So interesting positioning of the knobs there. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that's that. Engine starts is in the off position. Cabin pressure and control, auto set. Now, I had a bit of a play with this and couldn't really work it out exactly, but we've got auto is this control all the way to the right, which does not move. This is in auto here, and then we can put our I would have thought you could have set your flight altitude here, but it doesn't look like that's what it does. It seems to set the actual cabin altitude, so I'm not going to mess with that. I'm just going to leave that as it is. Again, I'm just going off the checklist here. We don't have any kind of manual to work these things out with at the moment. Good. So that is set. AC external power is off. Inverter selector is off. That switch is not actually model. You can't click that one. Anyway, AC generators are off. They're all off. And AC gen master is off as well. Engine bleeds are off. Off. Temperature controls auto and set. So that is going to be down here. I'm just going to... Can we move those? We can't actually move those knobs there to auto, but we've got these two switches in auto, so that is fine. We've got this rather ambiguous switch on and off here. Not sure exactly what that one is, but we'll leave that as it is. So that's all fine. Temperature controls are auto and set. Fasten seatbelts, no smoking, so we'll get those on. And if we jump back into the cabin, we should be able to see the seatbelt signs have actually come on there. Which you love to see. And then the no smoking. They've also come on as well. So nice little detail there. That's cool. Emergency lights, I think, are already in the armed position. There we go. That's armed right there. Let's actually check. If I turn them on, do we now see them being on? Oh, yeah. There we go. I'm not sure if they're on by default or not. Let's try. Let's check. Whoa, hang on. Back into armed. And yes, cool. Looks like the emergency exit lights are modelled as well, which is quite nice. Details. Slow fast indicator. Now, I wasn't quite sure what this actually is. I assume that's something regarding the flight director situation, although I couldn't quite see anything regarding slow fast indicator. So I'm not sure exactly what that one is, but we'll move past it. Clocks are zeroed and set. Flight taxi switch. So that's this guy here regarding the spoilers on the outside. We've got the spoilers which seem to raise up while you're on the ground. So that is in the taxi position. GPWS, GPWS is tested and checked. I don't think this aircraft actually has that. Couldn't find that one anywhere either. Yaw damper is guarded and normal. That's this guy. That is done. Flight director, we could do a test and then make sure it's in standby. There's the flight director and then leave that in standby there. So that's good. Landing taxi switch is off. That's here. PFCS switch lights flush and normal. I believe that's possibly these guys. Again, I struggle to see anything that specifically says PFCS in the flight deck here. But I think it may well be these. Powered flight cont shutoffs, PFCS. Yeah, I guess so. So they're flush and normal. You can actually use those as well, so they are modelled. Autopilot system coupling is going to be capped in. Steering is off. It's actually on, but this switch is not actually modelled, so we can't turn the steering on and off. Stall overspeed warning. Now, I don't think that one's modelled either. The overspeed test isn't modelled, but the stall warning test switch is modelled, but it doesn't actually seem to do anything. And the aircraft overspeed one here is not modelled either. Let's see, do we get an annunciation actually when we do that? Doesn't look like we do. Okay, that's fine. Flight instruments and DME set and checked. Now, we're not going to be using any traditional nav aids today. What we'll do is we'll come in here and we'll do a bit of setup in here. We're just going to basically do a very, very simple flight plan, which is going to take us from Chambery to Courchevel using one RNAV waypoint. Just wait for it to do its thing here. Daz, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Soren, welcome. No worries at all, my friend. Sep, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Welcome indeed. Welcome indeed. The commentator says, I've skied right past this airport. We were staying in a chalet in a resort near Courchevel, not in Courchevel itself. I'm not a millionaire. Pretty crazy to have an apron directly accessible from the ski slope. Yeah, that is pretty crazy indeed. Yeah, amazing, dude. Yeah, I would love to go to this part of the world. My someone I know has actually been to Chambery multiple times. Yeah, sounds absolutely fantastic. Beluga, welcome to the chat. Also, hope you're doing well. Saw the Dash-7. I thought it was a Dash-8, but smaller. I would really love a Dash-8 for the sim. Yeah, Dash-8 for the sim would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I would love to see that. But yeah, it's quite a bit different to the Dash-8. That being said, obviously, it's still a de Havilland aircraft, so it does still sort of follow a similar sort of design philosophy. It does look in the cockpit fairly similar to a Dash-8. I did try the Dash-8 out in X-Plane, so yeah, it's fairly similar, but yeah, there's quite a few differences. NPS said aircraft almost not moving at headwind. 100. Oh my days, that's what you meant. 129 knot headwind. Crikey. Oh my days, that is a big headwind. Crikey. Wow. How much longer did that take you then, NPS? Mayday, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. So, SimWorks Studios did the modeling and pilots did the coding. SimWorks Studios does amazing work. They do indeed, yes, I will agree. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any of their aircraft for the sim, but I have watched many reviews of their aircraft, and yeah, they do really, really fantastic work. I think SimWorks Studios did do some of the systems modeling and the flight dynamics as well. I think it's not entirely clear what they did exactly or not, but yeah, something to that description. Right, so let's set up our flight plan. Now, it's been a while since I've used this guy, so apologies if this goes a bit poorly, but let's just stick in our flight plan here real quick. It's a very, very short flight plan, so I wouldn't worry too much. We're going to go LFLB, and then we're going to go to waypoint Gemler. And then our arrival airport is going to be Courchevel, LFLJ. Courchevel. That's it. That is our flight plan. Super straightforward. So we'll call that good. Do a briefing momentarily, but that is it. It's going to be mainly VFR, let's just say. I would say this is probably falls under the category maybe like special VFR or something like that. I don't know exactly, but yeah, we'll do a full briefing later on. So let's continue with the checklist for now. We'll assume our nav aids are set correctly now, which they are. Let's just double check. We've got GPS on the CDI there, so that's all set. Good. Okie dokies. And we'll mess with that later on. So standby attitude indicator. I couldn't actually see that in here. Couldn't actually see that. Oh, what we'll also do as well, we'll turn our DMEs on as well. Just while we are going through that step. That is fine. Good, good, good. Compasses are in slave. There they are. That's good. Whilst we're here as well, we can just check our heading. So we're currently heading 082 roughly. And we've got 0. Yeah, that's about right. I think I do have gyro drift turned on in the sim, so just want to make sure I've got that correctly. Good. Hydraulic quantity is down here. Hydraulic quantity is actually above the top mark there, so definitely full on hydraulic quantity. Static source selector. I think this is one that I couldn't find either, but that just might be me. There it is. Normal. So that is checked. Altitude set pre-selector should be set as well. We're going to be cruising at flight level 140 here. So we'll scroll up the altitude selector. There we go. I think it was 14,000. It was, yes. Good. Okie dokies. So that is set. Prop auto feather is off. It is. Engine intake deflectors retracted. They are. Interested to see, actually. I wonder if these are model. Let's just extend them and see. Not sure if they would actually be visible outside or whether that's something that would be a little bit into the intake. Or not. Not seeing anything change though. But it's possible I'm looking in the wrong spot. Engine instruments are checked. Roll and pitch. Sorry, pitch and roll disconnect handles are in and locked. They do actually... Oh, you can actually move them. Oh. Don't want... There we go. Okay, good. I'm interested to see, actually, do these work? Because I know some aircraft I've flown in the sim and do have these handles, but it doesn't seem to actually do anything. Yeah, see. Doesn't seem to. Yeah, it doesn't seem to actually do anything. So I'll put it back anyway. Right. Radar and transponder is checked in standby. Transponder's down here. Wrong. It's in this guy, actually, isn't it? When I did my flight before on this, I think it was here because I was using the version with no GPS. Is it in this guy? Will be, won't it? Or is it down here? Definitely not down here. Forgive me, chats. This little guy is something I hardly ever use. Just for your reference as well, by the way, guys, you can use the TDS GTN XI, I think it's called. You can use that with this aircraft as well. You have to select it through the liveries menu. You can't select it whilst you are loaded into a flight. You can use this, or you can use basically a completely analog version with no GPS, which has a transponder here. And I think that's about it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I cannot remember for the life of me if it is in here or not. Does any of you GNS experts know if the transponder is in this guy? If it was, you would have expected you to be able to find it through here. Can we do next, Rad? Setup map. Sorry, I'm just intrigued to see what options we've got. It's been so long since I've used this. Interesting. Yes. Not sure. We'll come back to that anyway. Interesting. Right, so GPS nav com frequency is on and set. Control locked is checked. I believe that is in the locked position down there. Look at the details here with the sort of rubber gator going around the handles. That's very nice. Good. Okay, so trims are checked and set. That's into takeoff position, and the flight idle gate is out. The light is on. I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a light here or not, but it looks like it is definitely in the out position. So that's good. Autopilot yaw damper is off. That's this down here. Flap selector is matched, so it should be on 0 at the moment, which it is. Landing gear horn. There is a test for that, according to the checklist. However, I did not seem to spot where the landing gear horn button is. I guess probably here. There it is. So it does actually light up. So that's good. Caution advisory light tested. So I believe that's overhead. I did see that when I was setting this up before, but of course I can't find it now. There it is. So that works. You can see we've got all of the enunciators coming on now. All looking good. We can test the caution lights as well, which all work nicely. I'd love to see the, you know, that really cool sort of old school-ish font, which is quite cool. Like that. Synchrophase is off. Now, this switch doesn't seem to be modeled. Now, I'm not sure if the synchrophase sort of system is modeled either or not. I believe that's sort of similar to the system that we've got in the JustFlight I've completely forgotten the name of it now. Excuse me, chat. The quad jet that JustFlight have done. I don't know where the name's gone. I think that's maybe similar system to that, where it syncs up all of the engine's parameters based on single engine. But that doesn't seem to work in this. So anti-skid. Now that is in the off position at the moment. We can turn that on. However, it doesn't seem like there's an annunciator for that, whether it's on or off, so I'm not sure if that's simulated or not. In the checklist, it does say there should be a light out for the anti-skid, but I can't seem to see any other lights relating to that. But nevertheless, we'll make sure it's on. Roll spoiler, press, switch, guarded, and normal. Can't seem to see that one either. I think that was one where in my test flights I also couldn't find. But again, it's possible that I'm blind. Avionic cooling should be an auto. Oh, here we go. There we go. Oh, what is going on there? They are in normal. It seems like I can click the switches through the guard, but it doesn't actually seem to do anything. Which I suppose would make sense, but it seems like there's a sound if I click there. Okay, fair enough. So let's guard normal. I am just blind, ignore me. And then avionic cooling auto, I assume that is somewhere over here. It is, there we go. That's in auto. That switch is not modeled. Crew briefing we'll do in a sec, and originating checklist will be complete then. So we'll do our briefing in a moment. Oh, BAE, yes, the 146. Thank you, the commentator. Thank you. Right, okie dokies then. So let's go ahead. Now, I think I did mess around with GSX earlier. Let's just try catering service just to see what happens. Like I said earlier on, the only door that opens is the rear passenger door. That's that one. But we might get to see some kind of something go on here. Let's pop outside just whilst I catch up with some of the messages here in the chat. Who's already on board? Thank you. Soren, thank you very much for being a platinum member for 6 months. Crikey, time does fly indeed, doesn't it? No pun intended. Thank you so much, Soren. Appreciate your dedication. Thank you so much, my friend. Oh, look, we've got the cute little catering van. It doesn't do anything, does it? But there we go. It's just going to park there for a minute. Mayday said so. Similar Studios. I've already read that one. MCP said that mentioned modeling, missing some details. What might those be? Yeah. So, I mean, I can't really speak for a ton of details, but one detail that you thought would have been included is now I believe the refueling port for refueling this aircraft is somewhere around here. There should be also a hatch there, control hatch for setting the amount of fuel for the fuelers. But that doesn't appear to be there. That's one thing that I noticed whilst I was setting up GSX. And here come the passengers. Lovely stuff. Right. Good. SimWorks Studios PC12 is coming out very soon. Timok Studios and FS Reborn are also releasing a 727-200 in 2024. Yes, I did hear about that. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, the PC12 does look very good. I've been seeing their previews of that. I think they did a live stream yesterday as well, didn't they? Yeah, it looks very impressive. Very, very nice. FS Reborn M500. I don't know anything about that, I'm afraid, MCP. It was 45, 60 minutes longer than Newsky calculated. Crikey, MPS. That is absolutely wild. Did SimBrief not pick up on the fact that you were going to have such a strong headwind? Usually it's pretty good at that. Right, guys. So we are getting the passengers on board now. Love to see it. Good stuff. Now, I did have to set up GSX to do this myself because there is no included profile with this aircraft, or no integrated support in GSX at the moment, so that is how that is. So yeah, we're pretty much set regarding the pre-flight. Let's go ahead and do a bit of a briefing, and then we'll go ahead and run some before start checks here. So we'll jump over to the first part. So, no OFP or anything to look at today. There isn't actually a profile for this aircraft on SimBrief either, so I couldn't really generate one if I wanted to. I could use little nav map, but I don't really know all the performance figures to generate a profile on there either yet. So we're using Navigraph for this today. So we're going to be departing from Chambery. We'll have a quick look at the chart here. So Chambery, France is 10-9. Should be fairly straightforward regarding taxiing out. So we're parked here at the terminal. We're at stand 1 here. Oops, let's just do that. On. There we go. Yeah, so we're currently here at the terminal. We're at stand 1. We're going to depart on, let's just check the weather here real quick. So we're going to depart runway 18. Weather 180, 8 knots, so straight down the runway. QNH 1005, 30 degrees. Okay, good. So weather looking pretty fine, actually. So we're going to depart from Terminal 1 here. We'll do a power back instead of pushback. And then we'll basically taxi on November 1 here. Charlie. We'll take a left on to Charlie, take a right onto November, and then follow November all the way to the runway 18 threshold. Now, this aircraft does take off in pretty short order, but we will use the full runway for this departure here. So we're going to basically take off. We're not using an instrument departure or anything like that. Again, it is a very, very short flight. So there's, in fact, I don't think there are any instrument departures off 18 here at Chambery. So we're basically just going to take off straight ahead, runway 18 to the south, like so. And we'll basically just take a bit of a left turn, and we'll climb up through this valley, almost like a VFR sort of departure, essentially. And we'll climb up through the valley and then intercept our en route portion of the flights towards Gemla. And then from Gemla, we're basically going to fly direct to Courchevel. Now, we'll do the arrival briefing as well into Courchevel now, again, because it is such a short flight. And there's going to be quite a lot to do in terms of monitoring the aircraft for the arrival. So I'm going to brief this now. So there's no charts for Courchevel on Navigraph, at least, anyway. I don't think there is, anyway. Yeah, no charts there. However, you can see there are some of the VFR routes noted here on Navigraph, which is super useful. We are going to use those. However, if you go into the French AIP, basically, you can bring up these official charts with some other information about the airport. We'll have a quick look at the arrival we're going to fly. So essentially, we're going to fly from Gemla, which is up here somewhere. And we're basically going to fly overhead the airport. So across like that, fly over towards the airport, and then we're basically going to fly out and then do this sort of teardrop pattern into runway 22. Runway 22 is the only one that you can land on. So that's the arrival we're going to be doing. Minimum 7,000 feet for this procedure. As you can see here, we're basically going to descend on down and aim to be around 7,000 feet as we are just coming overhead the airport here, and then we'll continue doing the pattern around. The airport elevation, I suppose it's probably better to speak about the runway elevation here at this airport because of the profile. So at the threshold end of 22, the runway elevation is 6,371 feet. And then at the top, it crests at 6,582 feet. At the top of the slope, the gradient does change as well a little bit from a 12.5% to an 18.66%. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to do this pattern 7,000 feet, and then we're going to sort of just slowly let ourselves down the 700 feet required. And we're going to aim to land just after the threshold, as close as we can to the threshold, so that we can land on this sort of less sloped part of the profile, just to give ourselves a little bit of a softer landing. And that is it really for the departure. For the arrival. It is going to be super. It's going to be quite tough, I would say, and it's going to be a visual maneuver. There's no other real aids we can use to aid our descent. It is just going to be purely visual. There's no pappies or anything like that at Courchevel. One thing to bear in mind is because of that severe upslope on the runway, it will look like that we are quite high on the approach, so we want to be just very, very careful of not flying too low, because there is quite a big drop off at the end of the runway as well, so we don't want to end up too low and end up crashing into the sort of terrain in front of the airport. I did read somewhere as well, there is actually somewhere on the charts that it does say, you know, if you're not going to make the runway and you need to crash, then there is actually an area where it's like a preferential area to crash, but I can't actually see that on these charts here, but I did read that somewhere. There's no ATIS we can use or anything like that at at Courchevel either, so we'll just have to use the shortcut key to get the QNH when we get close to the airport. So that's that. Here you can see the airport's sort of like a 10:9 chart on your Jeppesen, and you can see here where the gradient changes from 12.5 to 18.66. There is a windsock down here though, which we can look out for. The scenery we've got for Courchevel is the Asobo scenery, but it is actually very good actually for an Asobo scenery, so looking forward to that. So yeah, that is about all there is to say for this arrival. If you are interested in this particular routing and arrival, there is actually quite a cool article on here on key.aero, which talks about the operation into Courchevel in the past and some suggestions for trying this out in a flight simulator, which is what I've sort of based this flight on today. I'll stick this in the chat if you're interested. That's that in the chat. Right. Good. So yeah, basically going to be flying. I think I mentioned earlier, our cruising altitude is going to be 14,000 feet. All the way up to more or less the town of Moutier, which is this one over here, top left of the chart. And you can also see that here on the Navigraph charts, a little bit clearer just here. So we're going to we're not actually going to pass over there, but we're basically just going to pass to the right of it on our descent. And from Moutier, we'll start descending to 7,000 feet. So it is going to be quite a steep descent from here to here, descending to 7,000. And then we'll basically enter the pattern like so and come round for a landing. So that is the flights and the briefing. The weather looks pretty good. Again, I can't really see what the weather's like at Chambery because... Sorry, I keep saying Chambery instead of Courchevel. Yeah, because there's no way that they don't monitor the weather on the airport. In the real world, they do have a staff tower during certain hours, I believe, but you know, in the sim we don't have that, unfortunately. So we'll just have to sort of see what the weather's like when we get there. It does seem like it's quite nice weather, so fingers crossed in the mountains it's equally as good. So we'll see. Yeah, that's the plan for today. Our altimeter 1006, so we'll make sure that is set as well. So we'll jump back over here and just make sure we've set that correctly. That's set. Now I'm not sure if it syncs up with this side. It doesn't, but I'm just going to press the magic key. It's actually 1005 in the sim, so that is set. Right, all the passengers are boarded. Lovely stuff. Let's go back here and close the old door. That's closed. I'll get the music turned down now as we're going to look to do an engine start. We'll close the flight date door as well. Okie dokes. So we'll do the before start checklist. So pre-flight inspection is completed. Logbook documents on board. Circuit breakers are checked. Master battery AC DC is on. We already did that. Left and right batteries are on. Volts checked. DC power, external power is on. Volts checked. Buzz tie is closed. Lights out. Let me just check where I actually left that. It is enclosed. That's good. DC generators are off. Fire handle, fuel, fire warning, fuel handle tested, pushed in. Fuel quantity is checked. Cabin pressure control, auto set. Engine bleed off. Fasten seatbelt, no smoking, on. Flight taxi switch should go now into taxi. So we'll stick that in there. Interestingly enough, on the stand, clock zeroed and set. Autopilot system coupling is selected. Flight instruments DME set. Cross-checked. Standby. Attitude indicator is uncaged. Altitude set. Pre-selector is set. GPS navcom frequency is set. Trims are set. Crew briefing complete. Before start checklist complete. Yeah, so there's quite a lot of items that appear in the pre-flight originating checklist in the before start checklist. I'm not sure if you would actually do both of them in the real world, whether one of them is a bit more of a memory type checklist or not, but nevertheless. Starting engine checklist. So seats, rudder, harnesses are adjusted, which reminds me, actually real quick, I'm just going to change my control profile here actually to the one I use for the 146, if I have one here somewhere. I thought I did, but apparently I do not. I just want basically the autopilot sync, pitch sync. So let's just see. PA28. Okay, so I have it on the CRJ. Which sensitivity have I got on there? 42. That actually probably should work quite well for this aircraft. Joystick button 2. Okay, good. Right, we'll do that. Okie dokies. So seats for the harnesses are adjusted. Start clearance is received. Takeoff data bugs set. Now, this is one thing we can't do. We don't have any way of calculating the speeds, and it doesn't seem like there's any way of setting any of your bugs here or on here manually. So we'll just have to say that is done. The rotate speed should be around 90 knots, I believe, in this aircraft, and then the initial climb at 125 knots. So that's what we'll go with. That is based on just a quick Google search. Anti-collision light goes to red, which is going to be up here. That'll go to red. See the anti-collision light just on top there. It's quite dim. That is set. Windows and doors closed and the light is out. Good. And the emergency brake is in park. Good. Power levers are in flight idle. Condition levers, fuel shut off. And the starting engine checklist is complete. So, let's start the engines here on the stand. Span.next needs my attention. Okay, that's good. Right, so engine start procedure in this aircraft. We're going to start 3, 4, 2, 1, I believe is the order. Let me just double check that one. 3, 4, 2, 1. Yep, so we'll start with 3 initially. It is quite a straightforward procedure. We're just going to switch the engine start to 3. Load meter switch to Gen 3. And announce clear 3. And then we should see a confirm 0 DC load on generator 3, which doesn't seem to be the case here. So I don't know if that's modeled particularly or not. Don't know what's going on there exactly, but nevertheless we shall press on. So we'll press the start button, and then we're going to get the engine starting, and then we should start to see the NG building between 12 and 20%. We want to put the condition lever to start and feather. So let's do that. Number 3 starts. Here's the NG. Between 12 and 20, you can see it's highlighted in green there rather conveniently on the gauge. And then we'll go put that in feather. Turn the sounds up a little bit for you guys. Sounds seem pretty good. Maybe a little bit quiet, but seem pretty good. So I've got fuel flow, and the T5 is rising. NG stabilized between 69 and 71, which it looks like it has just over 70 there. So that's a good engine start. We'll go for number 4 now. Now I'm not sure if you would actually press this button off and then go to 4, which I imagine would be the smart thing to do. So we'll do that, and we'll go for a start number 4. And we'll go to feather there. Remember, the propellers are just in feather at the moment, so they're not going to be super noisy. Lovely stuff. Okie dokies. This one is stabilized also, so we'll go for number 2 now. Sounds definitely a bit louder now. And we'll go to feather on that one. These ones, for some reason, I can't move with my mouse wheel. And engine's much louder now with the... Oops. With the number 2 starting. Interesting the way the sound cut in there. A little bit of heat blur coming out the exhaust, so which is nice to see. Animation looking a little bit strange there. That looks to be stabilized, that's good. Then we'll come up top and we'll go for a start on numero 1. Doesn't look like the load is really changing too much. Should see the fuel quantity, hydraulic quantity rise as well, but that's already full, so we're not going to see that. Oh, the hydraulic pressure is rising, sorry. So that seems to be operable. Good. So we've got 4 good engine starts there, chat. Love to see it. Very nice. And we've got all the spoilers indicating now. Very good. Very nice. Do we have some static views as well? We do, but interesting choice of views though. I'm not sure if they've customized these or not, or whether they're just the default template views. Okay, good stuff. So we'll get rid of the oopsie daisies. I was going to say we'll get rid of the GPU, but that seems to have disappeared on its own. We'll turn this guy off. So the DC loader has now gone from a minus to a plus with the external power off, which is... seems a little bit odd, but hey ho. Battery temperature is coming down now that we've turned the external power off as well. Interesting. We'll get this guy off as well. Oh look, the load did change there actually. Interesting. I wonder if I'm doing something wrong then with the external power maybe. I don't know. Right, so pushback checklist, ground equipment and shocks cleared and removed. Steering is, we're not going to worry about the steering because we're going to do a power back, and emergency brake is currently on. We'll do the after start checklist now because we are just going to do a power back like I said. So start selector is off, the light is out, DC external power is off, the light is out. There is an annunciator for that which has gone out, so that is good. DC volts load meters are checked. Battery temperature is checked. As you can see, it's come way down now. Engine bleeds, we'll put them to low. Emergency light is armed. Flight directors, we'll set those in to turn them on for a start. Flight directors on. And we'll put it in go around mode. Now I couldn't find the click spot in here for the go around mode, but if you bind on your controller the autopilot to GA button, you can press it. So if I press that on my throttle quadrant here, of course it doesn't work. I'm sure I did that. Yeah. Okay, it did work when I did my test flight, but for some reason it's not working now. Usually, I think it puts the pitch to about 10 degrees nose up. Maybe it's because I need to go alt cell first. No. Okay, well, nevertheless, we'll go ahead and set runway heading as well, which is going to be 175. Very slow here, moving. There we go, hold down shift, does the magic. It's about 175. Good, and we'll set the CDI up properly once we're in flight and we're starting to intercept our GPS path. So that's good. We'll use heading mode for the departure as well. Good, okay, so that is that done. I'm still a bit confused as to why I can't get the go around mode to engage, but nevertheless we'll just have to ignore the pitch command for the flight directors for the departure. PFCS light is tested and normal. Prop auto feather is selected. That comes on its own when we advance the power. Engine instruments are checked. Hydraulic quantity and pressure is checked. Although we're completely out of hydraulic pressure on the park brake. For whatever reason, that doesn't seem to have filled up with the engines coming on. Maybe I need to send some generators on before that happens. Radar and TCAS, standby and auto. Don't think we actually have TCAS. I have this little screen here as well. I'm not sure if that's a screen or a placard. That doesn't seem to do anything though. Oh, we've got a message here. Set course to 128. Okay, that's going to be our first course. So we'll set that anyway. Although that's probably not going to be useful to us straight away. So that's fine. Still no word on the transponder situation. Flaps, we'll go for flaps 15 for the takeoff. The flap animations, pretty decent. Rudder control is, we'll check that now. That is working. Lovely job. Autopilot is checked. Your damper will engage that. De-ice pressure is checked. That'll be... not sure where you would check that actually. We'll just say that's checked. Ground equipment and shocks clear and removed. Condition levers, 1 and 4 max RPM, so that's 1 here. That's 1. And 4. You can hear the sound coming up a little bit there. After start checklist complete. Now, the way I've bound this aircraft in on my in SPA.next is I've done the outboard engines to one lever and the inboard engines to another one. So that is the after start checklist complete. Let's do a bit of a power back then, shall we? We'll just use the outboard engines for this. So I'm going to hold the toe brakes, release the parking brake. Oh, it seemed to roll on its own even with the toe brake set. And we'll put the outboard engines into reverse. Sound cuts out rather abruptly there. Not sure if this is the proper procedure or not, by the way, chat, but nevertheless. There we go. Not the tidiest looking power back you've ever seen, but there we go. Taxi checklist. Taxi light is on. Brakes are checked. Flaps are checked. Flight instruments set and cross-checked. Takeoff briefing clearance is completed. Taxi checklist is complete. Now, interestingly, on the checklist, there is nothing regarding turning the DC generators on at any point. There is the AC generators, but not the GC generators, rather interestingly. And I would have thought you would have those on. So I'm actually going to go ahead and turn the DC gens on now. And we'll turn the AC gens on when we get to the lineup checklist. Good. So, let's go then, chat. Parking brake is released. Rolls quite happily on its own here. Ollie, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. So taxi is brief, straight on here, and then a left turn. What is the local time here? I'm just a bit concerned because we definitely don't want to run out of light for this flight. Yeah, we'll make it a little bit earlier, actually, chat, because we definitely don't want to do this arrival in any real dim conditions. So, no overlay today for SimToolkit because we're not using SimToolkit. Ground handling is... it's okay. Does seem quite decent. You can see my camera vibrating. Sorry about that. We've got the washing machine on. And it seems to vibrate the whole apartment whenever it's spinning. Righto then. So lineup checklist will do as we we'll come to a full stop at the hold short. Does pick up speed rather rapidly on the just at idle power. Just going to check for other aircraft as well using VATSIM. Yes, we are on VATSIM. For some reason my VAT spy doesn't seem to be opening, so I may just have to use SimAware. Oh wow, even full toe brakes struggles to stop it sometimes. Okay, there we go. A little bit over the line there, but that should do it. Okay, so let me just check the whole VATSIM situation. I imagine most people are busy with the cross the pond thing, but that doesn't hurt to check. Yeah, it looks like we're the only people in this area. Lovely stuff. Okay, good. So, lineup checklist condition levers. 4 to max RPM, so that's that. Very little change in the sound there. You'd expect there to be something. There's a little bit, I think. Pitot static windshield heat should be on and warm up. So, we'll come up here. Pitot heat and static heat on, and windshield heat to warm up. Anti-collision lights white. AC generators 4 on, so we'll do that now. AC generators 4 on. Engine bleeds are low. Prof ground range checked. Now, I'm not sure how you would check that one, to be quite honest with you. But nevertheless, we'll say it's checked. Controls lock, flight controls off, and PFCS checked. Now, it doesn't seem. It seems like the flight controls do work absolutely fine, even regardless of which position the cont lock is in, which I assume is controls lock. So, nevertheless, we'll pull it up now. Flight taxi switch can go to flight. So that should put the spoilers down. So that's good. Transponder is on. We'll assume that's on. Auto feather. There is a test here. Doesn't seem to do anything as far as I'm aware. But auto feather is checked. Landing lights. Get on. Ignition as required. That's off. Caution lights is checked. We've got nothing now. Cabin is ready and warned. Lineup checklist is complete. Let's just have a look at the lights outside, shall we? So we've got the anti-collision light on in white. So that is actually modelled, which is nice. There's with the taxi and the landing lights on. Lovely stuff. Okay, good. So we're ready to rock and roll, chat. So let's do this thing, shall we? I feel like I've missed something for some reason, but nevertheless, we're heading out straight ahead initially, following the valley to the left out towards Gemler. Quite a straightforward departure. Like a brake released. Really does fly on idle power. I'm going to bring it to a complete stop, and then I'm going to bring the power up all the way and see how short the takeoff roll is here. Okay, good. So takeoff. We should start to see. We should see the auto feather get armed as well. There it is, armed. Just going to go all the way forward. I don't really know the power settings. All right, take off. Should be rotating around 90 knots. Fuzztoga's in the chat. Thank you, the commentator. So there's 50 knots, 60 knots, 70 knots, 80, and rotate. There she goes. Up to about 10 degrees initially. And there's a positive rate. Gear up. Interesting sounds there. Trimming her out. About 10 degrees. Following the flight directors to send us straight ahead. And we're already at 120 knots. So that's going to be roughly our final climb speed anyway. So I'm just going to pitch for that. Now coming through 1,500 feet. Seems relatively stable, quite decent to hand flight. Let's select indicated airspeed, which doesn't seem to want to arm right now. Interesting. Maybe I need to bring the power back a little bit first. Sure why that would make a difference, but let's do it nevertheless. Bring the condition levers back a little bit as well. Not sure how far these would come back in reality. We're definitely losing a lot of speed there. Let's just pitch down a bit. I'm going to take a left turn here as well as we approach these mountains. We basically just want to follow the valley to the left there. Yeah, again, not 100% sure on the setting of the condition levers here. Bring the flaps up as well. Should help with the speed. There we are. Good. Okay. Lovely stuff. Let's continue on with that turn here. Still trying to pitch for that 125 knots. I feel like the autopilot does work in quite a similar way to how the Focker's autopilot works. And the BAE in terms of you set your speed and pitch and then you bring in the autopilot mode, which still doesn't seem to be working for some reason. It has worked on my other flights, my previous flights. It does seem to be adjusting the flight director though. Right, let's sync up the heading bug then. And we'll go autopilot in. Let's just unencumber myself a little bit here. Right, okay, so I think I may have actually taken this left turn just a bit too early there. I've wrongly identified this valley here, so let's take a bit of a right turn here. Heading mode seems to have kicked itself out. was the next valley. My bad. Oopsie daisies. I was too focused on trying to do everything else. Right, so I'm pretty sure you wouldn't fly around all the time with the auto feather enabled. So let's just bring the power back so that is no longer armed. But there we go, chat. Not too shabby. Pretty nice. Very nice looking aircraft, I have to say. The quad engine turboprop. Let's make sure I'm not going to crash here. We're getting a little bit close to the mountain, so I'm just going to go a little bit more to the right. Really struggling to climb here, actually. Maybe I do need a bit more power. According to the manual, 125 knots climb power. Again, I'm not 100% sure what the climb power setting is. It should be climbing at about 1,000 feet per minute. At the moment, it's doing like 2. Going back down again. So we'll see. This is the valley I was looking for. So apologies for the hair-raising experience there, passengers. This is what happens if you don't practice a route fully beforehand. I did practice this, but not quite. I practiced off at runway 36, so it's a slightly different departure. Right, so we're climbing now. Let's see what happens when the turn finishes here. I don't think we're going to get up to 14,000 feet, that's for sure. That should be a 128 as well. Good. Right, so here's the valley we're heading up to. Give ourselves a little bit more of a left turn here. Just visually align ourselves with the valley. You can see this will put us out flying towards our fix of Gemler. Right, so climbing now. The wings are just about level. Seems to be oscillating a little bit, I feel. Nevertheless, we'll do the after takeoff checklist now. So, after takeoff checklist, landing gear is up, flaps are 0. Auto feather is off. Well, it is actually off. It does say armed, but climb power is set, I think. Synchrophase is not modelled. Flight idle gate is in, light out. That is actually in, so that's good. Taxi lights, we'll get that off now as well. Ignition is normal. Cabin pressure control is checked. We're going to ignore that for this flight. Radio altimeter set to 2,500 feet. So we can set that there. I believe this is the radio altimeter. Hello. There we go. I don't know if it is. I don't know if it's modelled in this aircraft or not. This is, I'm assuming, I mean, this is for setting your minimums, but I'm not sure if it also doubles, maybe, as radio altimeter. I'm not sure. Because it does say DH, so could be. Right, so that's that. Fasten seatbelts as required, and after takeoff check is complete. Good. There we go. And it is climbing, actually, now at about 1,000 feet per minute. That is with the power nearly all the way forwards. What are we on? NG of about 92%. And the props in just under the max amount. So, there we go. Good. Federico, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. I think you set the radio altimeter to 250 feet, not to 2,500. I'm just going by the checklist. This is feet times 100. Oh, yes, I see what you mean. My apologies. I think it looks like it may already be set to 2,500, actually. Yes, thank you for that. Oh, wow, it moves so slowly after that 500 feet there. Oops. Right, we'll just leave that as it is. Good, so seat belts can come off now, approaching 10,000 feet. Now, I don't think in reality you would climb at 120 knots all the way up. Oh, actually, we're approaching our nav course here, so let's go to nav. And now we're turning basically inbound to Courchevel. Does really struggle with its with holding the altitude when it is in a turn. I'm going to just stay on local altimeter for this flight because we are flying so close to the mountains. And I'm not sure if these... this is an eye position indicator, and it's similar to the Airbus, isn't it? I'm not sure if that's modeled properly because this is a default position. You can see it's not fully lined up. And if you were to line it up, you'd end up all the way over here, which seems a little bit off to me. Okay, so we're flying inbound now. Courchevel, basically direct. And basically we want to be looking out for the town of Amoutier, I think it's called. On our left-hand side. I think that may be this town right here. And once we pass there, we want to start our descent to about 7,000 feet. As I said, we may not reach 14,000 here. We want to start our descent to 7,000, and then hopefully we'll get down there by the time we reach the pattern altitude. We'll see. It's going to be very tight. Looks like we do have a bit of crosswind action going on here. There goes, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Welcome, dude. Pretty rapid, yeah. It did seem fairly rapid. Did rotate quite a low speed there. Does seem to stick to the runway, I feel, though. It doesn't seem to want to come up too freely when I was trying to rotate there at 90 knots. So I think this is the town we want to look out for here. Courchevel was actually covered in snow earlier on today, but Courchevel is straight ahead, really. Somewhere, actually, it is covered in snow. Somewhere down here. So, let's just try, see if we can do the flight direct to sync mode here and see if that works. I think it may work, I'm not sure. Let's try it again. Just push the nose down now so that we get a descent going. Pull the power back. And let go of the sync. Let's see if it steadies out there. It does. Okay, so the sync mode does work. Let's go all the way back to flight idle. So we are going to need to do a fairly steep descent. These all the way forward so we don't pick up too much speed here. Okay, so we didn't make it to cruise, but nevertheless Let's do the cruise descent checklist. So, cabin pressure control set for landing. Fuel quantity transfer checked, closed and off. Altimeters, we'll set those now. Set and cross checked. Flight idle gate is checked. Hydraulic quantity and pressure is checked. Although the parking brake still seems to be on 0. Landing data and approach briefing is set and completed. We already did that. And descent checklist complete. Now we should be aiming for an approach around 125 knots. Sorry, 160 knots. And then landing speed of 90 knots. Very low landing speed. So we'll set the altitude selector down to 7,000. Hopefully it doesn't capture when I go past the current altitude. It didn't. That's good. So we'll set this down to 7,000. Airport should be dead ahead. We should be able to see it now. There it is. So we're still quite high here. So I'm going to actually disconnect the autopilot. It doesn't seem to be working. There we go. It might be my keybinds. There we go. So disconnected. There's the airport. So we're basically going to take a left turn overhead and enter the teardrop pattern. It's going to be very tough here. We are quite high still. Let's get the landing lights. They're still on, actually. We'll get the taxi lights on. Going very, very quick here. Okay, I'm just going to extend the teardrop pattern out a little bit here because we are way too high and way too fast at the moment. So I do want to just level out that descent rate. So apologies to any of the residents down below who may not like the noise pollution. It's going to be a very tight turn, this. Let's go to the left, actually. Oh. Right, we definitely want to level out here. Right, speed's coming back now nicely. Let's not descend too much further. Keep that nose up. I'm going to take some flap here, flap 15. And we're essentially doing the other approach now, which is fine, I suppose. Let's control that descent rate though. Okay, we're definitely getting too low now, so I'm going to add a bit of power. Take some more flap. There's the airport. There it is. Cool. Take full flap and gear down. So once we are on final approach here, we are committed. There's no going around from here. 90 knots is going to be our final approach speeds, which are about 100 knots now. Remember, the runway is going to make us look like we are high because that huge downslope, but we are currently about 500 feet above the thresholds. Oh no, I forgot to record a landing, chat. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do this. I do apologise for the immersion breaking there, but we do need to get a recording of this. Right, that's recording. Good. Want to be careful we don't go too low here. 6,400 feet. Right. Still look too high, but that's just the slope of the runway making us look too high. I think we're pretty good here, actually. 90 knots. Oh, beautiful. And we're down. A little bit of reverse, not too much. We don't want to stop on the slope. And there we are. Oh, it slows down in such short order. It's absolutely amazing. There we are. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. I mean, I think this aircraft, it does handle a little bit strange in manual flight, I will say, but I think that was okay. We'll just come off here. Welcome to Courchevel, guys. A little bit of a spicy approach there. Definitely very difficult to come down from 14,000 to 7,000. These guys have got a death wish. We'll just park right in front of these. Oh! Toe brakes stopped working for a sec there. Right. Okay, so there's the emergency brake engaged. Didn't have a chance to do the landing checklist, but we did complete all those items more or less on the descent. So shutdown checklist, emergency brake, park, taxi lights can come off now. Power levers can come to flight idle, which they are. Condition levers, 30 seconds can go to feather. Oops. Flaps up as well. Engine bleeds can come off. Fasten seatbelts, emergency lights can come off as well. We actually left the fasten seatbelt signs. Emergency lights are not on. Radar, DME, GPS off. Standby altimeter, attitude indicator is caged. Steering off, condition levers, fuel shut off. I would imagine you would also get these guys off as well, considering you don't have those on for the startup. DC external power connected, anti-collision light off. Good. I think we'll leave it in that configuration and we'll go to fuel shut off. There we go, chat. Welcome to Courchevel. Hopefully you enjoyed that. That was a little bit interesting, I will say. Alrighty. Oh, I thought we weren't off the runway there, but we just about are. Lovely stuff. Alrighty, welcome, guys. What an amazing airport this is. Look at the scenes and the runway just dropping off down there. Absolutely love it. Okay, guys, we can't use GSX here because the parking spots are all over the place. So that is that then. Lovely stuff. Absolutely love it. That was quite enjoyable. Although, like I said, when we're hand flying this thing, it does feel a little bit odd. But I don't know whether I was maybe pushing it a bit too far there. That might have been my flying. But nevertheless, welcome, guys. Hope you enjoyed that one. Jetty, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. But yes, we made it. We made it indeed. Random one, welcome to the chat. I'm doing well indeed. We were about to land, yes, as you will have already seen. Alrighty, guys, welcome. I'm not going to run the rest of the checklist. Let us watch that replay, I think. Oh. Huh. What has happened here? Sky Dolly? Ugh. I don't think it's recorded it properly. I don't know why. That is very upsetting. Bruh. I definitely clicked record on that. Well, there we go. Sorry about that, chat. That is as annoying for me as much as it probably is for you guys as well. But yeah, welcome to Courchevel, guys. Landing lights still on, aren't they? Alrighty, well, guys, if you've not flown to this airport in the sim, this is one of the included airports with the sim. It is very, very nicely done, though, I will say. I do enjoy this one. Ooh, I can't go inside there. But yeah, it's super detailed, actually. I only realised that earlier on. How much detail there is here with all the ancillary roads and things like that. Little tunnel model down here. Very, very nice. Asobo did a great job with this one. Nice runway textures as well. I imagine they probably had some pretty cool access to this airport for the sim. But there we go, chat. So what do I think of this aircraft then? I think it's an aircraft in general. I think it is quite a unique aircraft, quite an enjoyable sort of concept for an aircraft, if you like. Let's make it a bit brighter here, shall we? And I do enjoy the actual aircraft itself, but the way pilots have modeled it in the sim, yeah, I mean, it's workable if you don't want or don't go in expecting something, you know, study level. If you don't go in expecting something, you know, like JustFlight, for example. It's very reasonably priced, and I think for the money, I think it's okay. I've not used any of other pilots as other aircraft, so I can't really compare it to any of those. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Some aspects are enjoyable, but what I always personally find with aircraft that are like this, that are not, you know, particularly high fidelity, I always find there's a certain aspect missing. But obviously, if you don't mind about that kind of thing and you just want something that's unique, you know, it has got some good, interesting characteristics to it. But systems-wise, doesn't seem that deep. I may be wrong about that. The sounds are okay. I just think it's overall an okay aircraft. Even for the price, I would still say it's an okay aircraft. It's not the worst that we've seen for the sim, but it's definitely not the best at that price point, especially considering we've got stuff like the ATR for less than that. That being said, Microsoft does have their massive marketing budget, so, you know, it's probably not a fair comparison to make. But yeah, it's okay. I think I would probably give it maybe a 2.9 stars, maybe, if I was to give it a rating, maybe a 3.1. Obviously, you can fly it on some very, very interesting routes like this one today, and it does have very short takeoff and landing capabilities, which is quite enjoyable. But the overall quality, I think, and the depth of the aircraft is just okay in my eyes. But again, the price is very reasonable. So that's probably my thoughts on it. I would have loved for this to be a bit more than what it is. But it's just not quite. I mean, I still think I didn't expect it to be high fidelity, but I was slightly wishing for a little bit more, I think. But if you're in the market for a relatively, you know, straightforward type of simulation for a good price point, you know, it is a commercial aircraft for, you know, 20 euros at the end of the day. There's not that many like that price point. I think it's okay. Right, I'm really gutted we don't have the replay, chat. As you can see, I did record it here in SkyDolly, but every time I click the replay, it just seems to toggle the door up and down, and that's it. So that is a bit gutting, really. I'm sad that we can't watch that replay back. I think we're going to leave it at that for this stream today, chat. I think we're going to leave it there. I think my evening meal, my tea, is actually going to be ready fairly soon anyway. So I'm going to have to cut it short there, but we will be back for another stream on Monday. The PMDG 737 Universal Flight tablet will be releasing on Monday, so we'll be definitely streaming for that. So I'll be intrigued to see what that is like, although 737NG driver did actually post up a video earlier on today. If you guys are interested in seeing the full features of it, check out his channel. He did a full breakdown of what you can expect with in-sim previews, so you might want to go check that out if you're interested. But I will definitely see you on Monday for that. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for the kind words, guys. It was okay, wasn't it? Actually, it wasn't too bad. It was definitely better than my my test flight that I did for this route. Yeah, definitely not the cleanest approach. I think we probably could have managed that a bit better. But again, I think that's probably just comes down to my familiarity with the automation systems and things like that. So thank you so much. I hope you guys enjoyed. Jetty says, can I buy the Flight Sim Studios E175? It's not really something that's on my radar at the moment. As I think I've said in other streams, Jetty, I'm sort of waiting for them to, flesh it out a bit more before I will get that one. But I'm hoping in the future they will flesh it out enough, and I'll grab it then. Commentator, enjoy your landing. I hope it all goes well, and yeah, look forward to hearing more about your cross the pond experience. You'll have to put something in the Discord or put some screenshots or something. That'd be really cool to see. I am still a little bit gutted, I can't lie, that I've not been able to do cross the pond this year, but I hope anyone who's participated has enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you on Monday for another stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye for now.